Hello and welcome back to Is a Square with Sean.
And Brooke.
This is a podcast where two newly-ish weds introduce each other to things that the other is not really interested in. That's mostly movies. Anything fun happened to you this week, Brooke?
Yes, something super exciting happened to me this week, Sean. As many of you know, the world is having a pandemic. So a lot of things have been canceled, and a lot of graduations and stuff have happened. But my school in a little tiny town in Idaho sent out an email saying that they weren't going to do graduation, which
Really dumb.
was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I said, no, we are having a graduation because our wedding was already nuts because of COVID. And we have permission and reason to celebrate now.
Yeah.
So we deserve a celebration. So I emailed department heads and talked to professors and talked to fellow people in my department that were graduating, and we decided that we would at least have our own thing, separate from the school. But last week I got an email from the department secretary, said that they were going to approve a ceremony for us. So because there's been no field trips or graduations or anything, the budget is pretty big.
Yeah.
So, or they have a big budget, so they're getting it catered and
multiple, because you were the one that sent the emails and did all this stuff and organized your own for your department, and afterwards when it was okayed from the school official, your teachers came up to you and were like, hey, that was because of you.
Yeah, and everyone was on board. I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not dragging other people to do this. The professors miss meeting the parents and celebrating with us, and the other students also wanted to hold something as well. So we're all pretty excited.
And most people are vaccinated.
Yeah,
be smart.
It's
but
the dumbest. It was so dumb.
Yeah,
I was angry.
You were.
So, but it felt good to just be this is dumb.
And people are like, yeah, you're right, it is dumb.
And to have it change.
Yeah.
So, felt good.
Very nice.
Yes.
About 4 weeks ago.
Long time.
Yeah. Brooke showed me Chef, which is a 2014 Jon Favreau movie. I didn't know much about it, but it is really fun. And before we get into the movie, we're going to talk about our own lives as non-professional chefs.
As food eaters.
Yeah.
Eaters of food.
Yeah, so Brooke will tell it better than I can, but she's very good technical cook. She pulls out things that I've never heard of pretty much every time she bakes. Clafouti?
Clafouti?
That's one of her favorites. Yeah, we watch MasterChef together, and probably every 3 episodes, she's like, oh, I can't believe they're making whatever. I'm like, I've never heard of that before in my life. She's like, oh, it's this, and then goes off into an exact explanation of what it is.
Yeah, I love learning about cooking, and I would love cooking if someone else cleaned up after me. Cleaning up after cooking is a huge deterrent to me. But
we don't have a dishwasher. My dad's joke would be, this is my dishwasher, and he'd point to his wife, my mom.
Yeah.
So this is my dishwasher, Brooke. Brooke's go-to meal before we got married was sauteed vegetables.
Roasted vegetables.
Roasted vegetables.
And some sort of
And you'd have rice or
sausage
quinoa or you'd have a sausage, yeah.
Yeah, kielbasa. Make a little sauce. Anyway. Yeah, that's one thing. I do not like cooking meat. When I was single in college, I don't think I ever cooked meat.
There's all sausages, which are...
Yeah, anything that I wouldn't die if I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I ate meat. I just didn't cook it. And then, Sean's go-to meal is chicken rolls, and we have had that a lot since being married. He is phenomenal at cooking meat. He's really, really good at it. Sean isn't as... The knowledge isn't as vast as mine.
Yeah, for sure.
But he is a really good cook.
Mm. Natural talent.
Yes. I know how to cook it, but he actually cooks it and does it well, if that makes sense.
I can follow a recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, you showed me the funny thing from Schitt's Creek, like, fold in the cheese. Like, I was with that. Like, I never had heard fold in cheese. Like, don't know a lot of the terminology, but I know the method.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or can learn it quickly. Stop slowly moving away from the microphone.
The back of my knees are sweaty.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
Okay.
We turned the fan off.
Do not keep that in there.
Okay. It's hot. We turned the fan off for the recording, and we need it back on.
I think it's probably 86 degrees in our house.
Yeah.
The
easily.
thermostat will say. Yeah, so Sean does most of the cooking in our relationship.
Now that we're done talking about our experiences with being chef, let's talk about based on a true chef.
Yeah. So I had again, really into the food scene. Oh.
Watched a lot of Bon Appetit.
I was just going to say, I love, one of my like highlights of COVID quarantine was every day they release a Bon Appetit video, and then
nothing controversial happened, and they still agreed.
Yeah. If you're familiar with that, then you know what's up. And if you're not, I'm not going to get into it, and you can look it up yourself.
Yeah.
But
it's ruined. It's gone forever.
Yeah. Haven't watched one in like a year. But, so I had heard about this movie called Chef, and I heard it was the most realistic food movie out there. But it was rated R. And one day I decided that was okay. I was just looking, and I looked for what it was rated, and it was rated R for language, which, if it's rated R for something, might as well be language.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and it was fantastic. Sean came home in the middle of me watching it, and I said, this movie is fantastic, we should do it for our podcast, but I need to finish it.
Yeah.
So
I came in during the Robert Downey Jr. scene, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is fun.
Yeah. But then I think I kicked you out, and then I finished it, and then the next day,
I
rewatched it with you.
Again, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, we jokingly said I'll have to rewatch it again to remember.
Yeah. I wrote down notes. I remember what almost all of them mean.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I very much agree. Like, it's a movie about people that love food, loving food. And it's filmed so well, like, watching him just make a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
Makes your mouth water, makes you like, I can do that. Like, yeah, that's...
The food shots were unreal.
Yeah, I've never been one for, like, that kind of filmography or cinematography. In this movie, it is done so well. So interesting. It's a bit of a weird connection, but if you've seen Moneyball, like the way they make statistics look so cool and sexy and fun, like that's how I feel like they made
some sexy statistics.
Yeah, like that's how they made like this cooking movie feel. And I like cooking, but this was to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, the stuff that they did with food was, and there's a show that we watched kind of last year during quarantine called
Somebody Feed Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
And
recommended to us by a friend. Shout out to them.
Yeah, recommended to you guys because I think it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of also had that vibe to it.
Just a man like traveling around the world, being a nice person with nice people.
Yeah,
and eating food.
Eating really good food.
Yeah, the whole time we were watching this, I was like, this is just that show. But I wouldn't be surprised if that show was based off this.
It does have language, which I don't love.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that's pretty accurate for what I know in like a kitchen setting. Jon Favreau, he like directs it and then
stars in the main role.
But he worked like with a real chef.
Yeah, and that chef is cool.
Yeah. There's what is it called?
The Chef After Show, I think.
Yeah, or the Chef Show.
The Chef Show, something like that. It's on Netflix as well. Like if you watch The Chef, it'll be the first recommended thing.
Yeah. And we've only watched one. The one that had the Avengers.
Yeah.
But you like meet the chef that he trained under.
And who like this story is almost based off. I wouldn't say it is like his story, but a lot of the elements that this real life man did is represented through this Jon Favreau character.
So when they're like cooking on screen, that really is like them cooking.
Yeah.
So
like first 2 minutes, there's a shot of Jon Favreau from like the shoulders up, and you can like see he's chopping something, and it just pans down to his hands, and he's like expertly chopping an onion, just to show like, yeah, this is Jon Favreau doing this. Like all of this stuff.
They
is
like
him
break
doing
down a
it.
pig.
Yeah,
They
it's just fun
yeah.
until it's not.
That's still pretty funny.
Yeah, the boy's name, the actor's name is MJ Anthony Percy. So the chef's name is Carl, and I thought Percy did just a great job in like this role. He just wants like a dad. Go out on like a fun father-son trip, and it's like boom, movie, boom, like roller coasters, boom, home. Like no talking, no bonding, just doing fun things in air quotes, and then all right, drop you off back at your mom's, and goodbye. And I felt like that blows.
Yeah, just again, like what I've heard from like a chef's life is you're married to your job. So it's a lot of unhappy relationships at home.
You wake up so early to get the freshest ingredients, and then you do prep for all morning, afternoon, and then you cook until late night, and then you go home.
Yeah. I have a cousin, and her husband was a chef for a while, and he worked at a really fancy restaurant in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And he would work like 20-hour days, but he'd only get paid for 12 because he would have to like clock in and then clock out, and then they would go and alter his time so that he was only getting paid, and he like didn't get any days off, 7 days a week. I mean, it was
That was
just
illegal.
terrible. I don't think it is, but like that was just, so now he's like an electrician.
Yeah, smart.
Because it was just way too demanding.
Yikes,
And,
yeah.
yeah, borderline illegal.
I feel like that would take all the joy out of cooking for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's got a really good cast, though. Yeah, Jon Favreau, Sofia Vergara, Scarlett Johansson's in there, Robert Downey Jr., Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, really solid cast for sure. It almost feels like the writer or Jon Favreau doesn't super understand what Twitter is.
I also don't understand what Twitter... I laughed because a huge moment in the movie is him not understanding how Twitter works.
Yeah.
And I would have done the same thing. I don't know how Twitter works. I don't have a Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter it came up in the beginning of this movie, and I was like, okay, like, yeah, he didn't understand. That's fine. So a food critic comes to his restaurant and just, like, tells him he's washed up in the paper.
Well, and he wants to do something different, and then the owner of the restaurant tells him he can't.
Yeah, says, no, we've been doing this for 10 years, like, don't change it. And, yeah, just gets fully ragged in the papers, so he, like, tweets a public response, blah, blah, blah. There's a funny scene where he basically gets fired. The food critic is live tweeting, like, oh, this guy's a coward, blah, blah, blah. And he just goes down to the restaurant and like, in his pajamas, and is yelling, like, you're not getting to me.
Yeah. Huge spill.
Like, I don't care who you are. Like, I'm fine. Just like a big baby, big toddler having a temper tantrum. It's believable. Like, that could be a very, like, ooh, funny scene, but you feel bad for him, which I think is hard to do. And
that's also our most quoted scene.
Yeah, afterwards it's like, oh yeah, that was funny.
But in the moment, it's real tense.
It's, yeah. There's like music and like, he's at home cooking this wonderful, like huge meal, and then the music stops and it's just a man yelling at another man. And yeah, like it's very tense and sad.
You're not getting to me.
Yeah. And after that I was like, okay, so like Twitter kind of ruins life. And then the whole movie's about Twitter. My favorite sequence of the movie is the food truck. Largest part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down to Miami, picks up a horrible truck, and like just with his sous chef and his son, who's like 9, does like heavy labor and like cleans it up and makes this really disgusting old food truck look really nice. And they call it El Jefe.
So there was like a little scene with Robert Downey Jr., who is his ex-wife's ex-husband.
Yeah.
And he's just like this total rich weirdo.
Yeah.
But we just...
Probably like Robert Downey Jr. in real life.
Really?
No, I'm sure he's a very nice man.
But it's just funny, like, Jon Favreau gave Robert Downey Jr. his, like, huge break as Tony Stark. So then I just love this, like, little cameo that he does.
You can really tell, like, they're friends.
Yeah.
Like, they have great chemistry. They're kind of mean to each other in the scene, but like in a funny, nice way. Like,
Yeah.
it's very short and doesn't really have much to do with the movie, but it's fun and I
Yeah,
love
if
it.
you know their relationship, then it's a good scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it's weird.
Jon Favreau did outlive Tony Stark in the Marvel movies, though.
This is true.
Yeah. But Tony
He did
Stark's been in way more.
Yeah, did not get paid as much as...
No. Nobody ever will. It does a great job of showing like, the different cultures across like the southern strip of America. Miami with the Cuban, they go to a little bar and they dance. Makes you want to travel.
They go to New Orleans, they go to Texas, I think. Somewhere barbecue-centric.
I've been to New Orleans once, and it was insanely hot outside. But my dad wanted us all to go to the actual Café du Monde, which is a very famous coffee shop, beignet, cafe situation.
It's funny, they like got to New Orleans and Sean was like, they should go to Café du Monde. And then the next sentence is like, I'm taking it at Café du Monde.
Yeah. So we talked to this woman at the kiosk, like, where's the actual Café du Monde? We can't find it. And she points it out and then goes, are you going to it? And we're like, yeah. She said, it's hot outside. Like, just stay here. We thought it was so funny. And she was right. It was the hottest place on earth. But yeah, we all got little beignets because my dad wouldn't buy them from the mall, and they were so good. Oh yeah, and this is where like Twitter comes back huge. Like every city they go to, the boy's power is like he knows how to use Twitter.
He's a tweeter.
Yeah, and everywhere they go, there's a line as far as the eye can see for where their truck is.
Well, he's like a pretty well-known chef.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in Miami. He started off in Miami.
And then went to LA.
And then it just kind of gained momentum as they traveled across the country.
There was one scene during this where it's at night. John Leguizamo is driving. I was so certain they were going to get in a car crash. The way it was like set up, I was like, this is it. They've been riding too high for too long. Like, something bad's going to happen. And nope, they just wanted to put cornstarch down their pants because it's hot. Maybe I should try that now. But yeah, I was so tense in a scene that did not call for it whatsoever.
Yeah. But it's funny because the first time I saw it, I kind of thought the same thing.
Just something about it is a little ominous, the way it's filmed, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, totally fine. A great line is between Sofia Vergara and Jon Favreau, where they can't really hear each other. There's like a local rock band.
So she calls her son to like check in on how he's doing, and then he like hands the phone over to the dad. Basically, he says,
tell Percy I love him.
Oh yeah, tell Percy I love him, and then he says, I love you too. And then there's just like this awkward pause, and then they hang up.
Yeah.
Just like a weird scene. There's like a little cop that comes.
Oh yeah, first when they're in Miami.
Yeah, and they're apparently not allowed to be at the certain beach, and then he realizes who he's talking to, and then he asks for like a 20-minute photo shoot with the guy.
Yeah,
and, like,
it is weird.
It's just weird. I don't get it, but I mean it was funny.
You said that like, oh, this scene is really weird, and I was expecting it. Again, like it had been too happy for too long. I was like, oh, like something bad is gonna happen, but no. Just a little weird. Percy's dreams come true, and Carl and Inez come back together, and they get remarried, which is really fun. And I said to Brooke, do you think that she wore the same dress?
I said no.
Yeah, she's pretty rich. She has like 15 people in her house cleaning or doing something all the time.
She's like a celebrity.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's somebody famous. She has a publicist.
Yeah,
so.
she does. Yeah.
And a super rich ex-husband.
Yeah.
So,
and,
she's fine.
Well-liked current husband.
Yeah. She has to make good money.
Yeah. This is pretty unrelated, but for a while not really, as a joke, I used to refer to Brooke as my ex-girlfriend. We were no longer boyfriend-girlfriend because we had been married.
Yeah. Oh, the critic that he screamed at the beginning of the movie. At the end of the movie, they're partners.
Yeah. He kind of explains, like, I know you don't want to see me probably, but I really believe in you.
Yeah. He had, someone else order food from the food truck.
Yeah.
He had just bought a restaurant.
I didn't realize what I was like doing to you mentally. Like you called me out in a war of words, and I'm a food critic. Like I wouldn't come to you and challenge you to a cook-off. Like I would lose. So you challenged me to like a word off, and you lost.
Yeah.
I think gave the movie a lot of closure.
Yeah. It was just an all-around fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I just want to eat food that is the way they describe food is delicious.
Yeah.
I just want to eat food like that just knocks your socks off.
I just want to go on a road trip.
Oh, I don't. But
oh, okay.
I'll
go on one by myself.
I'll go on a fly trip.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, the El Jefe truck is like in the end credits, and I turn to Brooke and I say, "All right, but who's Jeff?" I do not speak Espanol.
And I grew up in New Mexico, so I knew what El Jefe meant.
I thought it meant the Jeff, the whole movie, and I didn't bring it up because I was like, "That's probably dumb and wrong."
Yeah.
It means the boss.
Yes. Sorry. It means the boss. So that was funny.
Yeah. Really good movie. Cannot recommend it enough. I'd say.
VidAngel that sucker.
Yeah.
Or Let Your Morals Down for 2 hours.
I feel like bad kind of saying like it's a really good movie where kind of nothing goes wrong after the first act. Because the possibility of something goes wrong and then the fact that it doesn't is really benefits the movie, I think. So knowing that it's just a nice movie where nice things happen the whole time. After the initial bad thing.
And the bad thing isn't even that bad.
I mean, he loses his job in the respect of all of his peers and definitely won't get a job anywhere else.
To me, he just lost his job.
Well, I mean, he was farming around and he never got a call back.
He had the possibility to go on Hell's Kitchen or something.
True. He would have been... That was a good joke.
He would have been fine.
He didn't want to do that. Yeah. He was... Good old Hell's Kitchen.
Good old Gordon.
But we also watched In the Heist this week.
Oh, yeah.
And let's talk about that really briefly. We are huge fans of Hamilton.
Yeah.
When it came out on Disney Plus, we watched it pretty quickly.
The day of.
Yeah, like 15 minutes in, we're like, well, this isn't really for us. By like the 1 hour mark, we had never been more into anything as a married couple before in our whole lives.
Usually things that have such a huge following,
yeah,
I watch it or hear it or whatever, and it just does not live up to expectations. Hamilton lived up.
Yeah, and I had never heard of it. I was in China at the time. People don't talk about Hamilton in China. So, like, I literally had no idea what was going on, and then you told me Hamilton's coming out, and I was like, okay. And I watched it, and yeah, absolutely loved it.
It's like anytime we go on a road trip, that's the first 3 hours. Listening to the soundtrack. So it makes time go by so quickly.
We love Lin-Manuel Miranda. More you than me, but...
I mean...
Yeah, he's great.
I've just seen interviews with him.
Moana's great. Anyway, so we were super excited for In the Heights.
Which was his, like, first...
It was before Hamilton.
Yeah, if I'm correct, it was, like, his first big, successful Broadway play.
Yeah. It wasn't for us, I would say.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but nowhere near Hamilton, and yeah, like, I was pretty bored. Like, the best joke in it is Uznavi, where he gets his name.
Yeah. And none of the songs...
Yeah, agreed.
And I love musicals.
Uh-huh.
There's not a single song that I would
like
listen to, yeah.
Agreed, yeah. I'm sure the Broadway play is different and maybe, like, different in a better way for us, but this movie, yeah, never really hit its stride for us. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's I will say, it's like another movie where the resolution is that New York is the best place on earth. And, like, that's every fourth movie, I feel like.
There's a lot of similar parallels to Hamilton, though, I think, too. And Lin-Manuel Miranda really draws on, like, personal experiences. So, like, the underdog overcoming, like
that's what
immigration, stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's what I wanted to talk about is, like, it's fine that, like, it's not for us because it is for others. Like, I'm not a Hispanic person living in New York. But Hispanic people living in New York probably can really relate to that, can really respect that.
Or just anybody in that culture.
Yeah. I'm not saying because they're Hispanic I don't like it. I want to make that very clear. I just didn't like the music very much.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that's super. Like if every single movie was about like that culture, yeah, of course I probably wouldn't watch a lot of movies because like they don't speak to me in that way. So there are a lot of marginalized groups that do go through that don't have representation in the movies, and probably don't watch a lot of movies because of it. It's really important that other people and other cultures can have that as well, because like up until recently they really didn't. So it's really good that these Latino people are getting movies made by Latinos for Latinos or for whoever.
Yeah. But and also like my best friend and her husband, they are super into Hamilton as
Yeah.
well. And they watched it and they loved it. They
Yeah.
thought it was really good, and they are not Latino or have any
Yeah.
sort of connection to it. So I just think for us it was a
The wall walking scene was pretty weird. Didn't really add anything and wasn't very interesting.
yeah. Another fun part was Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in this movie
Oh yeah.
as a completely different character.
Rose is like the most like just cool cop, and in this she's very vibrant. All right,
That's it.
that is this episode of It Was a Square. I'm gonna turn this fan back on. You excited?
Super.
Okay. Next week is my week. We have already watched it. It's gonna be a great surprise.
We've already watched it?
Oh, it's even a surprise to Brooke. Yep. So until then,
Oh, I know.
bye. You gotta say bye.
Oh, bye.